Nowadays, it's called the Seat Rally, but for 15 years, it was the Burma Rally. But really, it possibly should have been called a Kenny McKinstry Rally, because this burly little genius from Banbridge has made this event his own. When you look back, you always remember, really, the years that he didn't win, like 1989, when a Welshman came in an outrageous pink Sierra and shook both Kenny and the trees to their roots. We also catch up with this car 2 years later, when in Donegal it gave Ellen Morgan and, of course, James Cullen, the driver, their finest hour in their own county. It's all the fun of the fair at Lurgan Park for the North Armagh Motorcycle and Car Club's annual one-day extravaganza. Once again, the Craigavon Borough Council has made available their beautiful park for Ireland's top single-venue rally. And again, the club have attracted some star names. But before the horsepower, it's pedal power. Leo, it's been a bit of a fraught morning.
Yes, it's very slippery around the back. In fact, nearly fell off a couple of times in the bike.
And that's the only way you're allowed to practice, is it?
Yes, just by walking over on bike.
I know you're a bit behind time, so as the saying goes, on your bike.
See you.
Well, in his BMW M3 will be Bertie Fisher, who is not too sure that he has the right car for the job.
I rather fancy probably some of the experts still to win. It's, I think, the most suitable car around the park, but we're certainly going to try.
Accompanying Bertie, a new rose to rally, UTV's Jackie Barclay, who, to put it mildly, is apprehensive.
We've just been out for a test run, but I'm pretty confident I'm going to be okay.
You don't look confident to me.
No, well, it was whenever we started to test the tires, and I realised that it wasn't just like driving fast to school or to work, but I think I'm in safe hands.
Alderman McCamick is here to welcome the visitors, like Andrew Wood in the Audi.
I think this time I'm organised. The last time I was here, I was just thrown in at the deep end a wee bit, didn't quite realise what I came for, but we've had a good walk this morning and hopefully we'll be more organised.
Irish Road Motors have brought another visitor, Welshman Gwyndaf Evans.
It's quite a test for both car and driver, really. It should be quite exciting.
Do you think it'll suit the Sierra?
Well, obviously the turbo lag is a disadvantage. No, you want a crispy, lively car, I would say here, but we'll certainly have a good go at it.
Jackie Barclay isn't the only personality present. Wendy Austin is hitching a fast ride in a Porsche. Now it's down to business in earnest, inside the BMW with Bertie Fisher and a rather terrified Jackie Barclay. It's fairly slow to start, but once onto the tarmac, from tarmac to loose, changing surfaces all the time. That's the test of Lurgan Park. But here's the big surprise. Right from the word go, Gwyndaf is sensational. He will have 12 seconds advantage after 2 stages. Yes, the visitors are in serious mood. Andrew Wood is really trying in the Audi 90 Quattro, as we can see from inside the car. After 2 stages, the Scottish driver is up to second. Hugh O'Brien is the top of the locals in 3rd place. And here's another surprise. After 2 stages, young Trevor Moore in the McCartney Motors Escort is 4th overall. Roy Alcorn, always a front runner in the park, is in 6th place. And Dominic McNeil shortcutting here in 7th. Another visitor, Russell Morgan in the Prentice-sponsored Mercedes. And press on Stephen Emerson, who leads his class in the Sunbeam. For John O'Sullivan and Noel McCullough, the long trip from Ennis is proving less than worthwhile. But John isn't the only one having problems. Bertie Fisher is surprisingly back in 13th place.
We're having a lot of problems with traction out there. We're not really getting a lot of grip with the car. Plus the fact that I think I'm being a little bit overcautious. It's very, very slippery out there. And the trees are very close to the side of the road.
So fast and furious is the pace that some mid-event repairs are supervised by William Fullerton and James Blaine, the clerk of the course and secretary of the Burma Rally. With Evans about, those repairs won't last long. Their lead is now increased to 18 seconds in a remarkably committed drive. Hear them clip that barrel? Leo Shaw and the BSS Cosworth. He and Willie McKee are also bidding for the special prize for unleaded petrol. For Andrew Wood, the challenge is now holding on to second. Hugh O'Brien is a mere 2 seconds behind the Quattro, and the slightest slip could do it. And here comes that slip. You could feel the seconds slipping away. Now the chicane. Well, that's more like it. But Andrew Wood has slipped to third, behind Hugh O'Brien, who is very much at home in the forest. Roy Alcorn in fourth place is now only 3 seconds behind the Quattro. And Lurgan brothers Raymond and Trevor Knox are well at home in the park, in fifth place in their Nissan Sunbeam. David Francis is always in contention in this type of terrain. He has been seesawing up and down the leaderboard, 4th, 8th, and now 6th. Sam McKinstry is the first to displace a barrel, but there is worse to come. Dominic McNeil, who was in 7th place before this. His rare G3 Escort is now even rarer.
Just left it too late to brake and couldn't get slowed up for it. I thought I got through, but I clapped it, in the front, and I clapped the front or not after,
You were lying 7th, I think.
Where I? Trying too hard, maybe.
It's getting easier as the stages progress, and the last stage, stage 4, we were going extremely well, very, very fast.
Well, look who I found here, Mr. and Mrs. Evans, along to see Gwyndaf, no doubt.
That's right, yeah.
You can't complain about his progress in the morning.
No, we're keeping our fingers crossed now for the last 2.
Well, Gwyndaf doesn't disappoint. The Irish Road Motors car is pink perfect all afternoon in an outstanding drive. Only Michael Sundstrom has had a first-time victory in this unforgiving course before. The BSS Sierra takes Group N on 8th place, and the Craigavon Borough Council Grass Cutter of the Year Award. For Andrew Wood, it is now all or nothing to regain that second place in the Cinetron X Audi. He will do this run in 2 minutes 21 seconds, a time only beaten by Gwyndaf. So it's a superb last run and good enough to regain second place from Hugh O'Brien. The escort stay is finally on the wane, but not when you look at Roy Alcorn, who finishes fourth. The Knox brothers are in a tie-breaking situation for fifth place. But it finally goes to newcomer of the year, Andrew Nesbitt, who is the quicker of the two on this last stage. He was sixth at Donegal, now fifth in Lurgan Park. It's been a fabulous June for Andrew. But what of those pre-event favourites? Ken Colbert comes home in 8th place after a slow start, and Bertie Fisher just scrapes into the top 10. And as Jerry McGarity comes down the hill for the last time in his Honda, all that is left now are the explanations.
It's a sprint event, I always said that, you know, that you've really got to be on the pace from the word go, and we were a bit slow off the mark this morning.
It was an excellent day. I think I was spoilt with my driver. I got too laid back, too blasé about the whole event, because I was just in such excellent hands.
But again in Irish rallying, it was a day for the Welsh, and particularly Gwyndaf Evans.
I didn't expect to be so competitive, no, but for sure, once I got the first stage finished and we'd taken 5 seconds out of our nearest competitor, we thought, well, maybe we could do something about it here.
And really nothing went wrong all day, did it?
No, the car is, as always, prepared excellently by Brooklyn, and not a hitch.
And what are you Welshmen doing to us Irish rally drivers? This is the second weekend in a row that we've had to take this sort of ignominy.
Well, I think it's magic myself.
Donegal, the tranquil haven of breathtaking scenery, which once a year bursts into feverish activity for the Shell Gemini Donegal International Rally. With Os McHale non-starting, Bertie Fisher is hot favourite. James Cullen is the local hero at number 3. But the weather is not being kind for the rallying legend Jimmy McRae and his young co-driver Chris Patterson as they leave Letterkenny for the Friday run. Donegal is enjoying one of the finest entries in years. 120 cars will tackle the 26 stages over the next 3 days, and any one of a dozen crews could take top honours.
The opening stage is a blast over the hills south of Letterkenny. The Fisher is slow to warm up in the Tough Mac 4-wheel drive car. And Cullen, with only 2-wheel drive, is fastest. Metros operate well in these conditions. John Price, seen here, has had his second 6R4 to Armagh driver Andrew Nesbitt.
One left.
We're
60.
inside now with the crew who are making
One
Irish
left,
rallying
80.
history. Kenny
Crab
McKinstry and Robbie
42 right
Philpott.
into Crab.
They lead the
80.
Dunlop Tarmac Championship
Caution.
outright in a
One
Group
left
N
at the
car.
back, bumping long, 4
They nearly
left.
didn't make the start, however,
bad
after their
bumps.
Cosworth dropped a valve this
40.
morning. With a borrowed
5
cylinder
right.
head, they're in the rally, but only
On
just.
Turn 4 right. 40. 1 left. 40. Long 4 left. Tightens.
Stage 2 is a new test to Donegal, and James Cullen arrives like a wedding car. It's hard to believe that the Four Lanterns car is down on turbo boost watching these pictures. Frank Maher's first visit to the Northwest is sensational. The Tipperary man is in the top 4. Fisher has now got the foot down, and the 4-wheel traction is exactly what's needed in these conditions. Most sensational of all, however, is Kenny McKinstry. The Calibre car, despite being only Group N and 2-wheel drive, is in second place overall. Andrew Nesbitt, in his hard Metro, is covering a lot of new ground. Here's a dark horse, Davy Greer, in his new 4-wheel drive Group A Cosworth.
The Letter League stage for the second time, and Bertie, as they say in Donegal, is on the pipe. But it's a tyre lottery in these ever-changing conditions, and Fisher is on intermediates. Cullen, on the other hand, is on slicks. It's a brave move, and it pays off as James will tie for the lead at the end of this test. Jimmy McRae in the left-hand drive BSS and Shellback Cosworth has overcome early intercom problems and is now more on the pace. A very enthusiastic Ian Stewart, one of the many entries from County Donegal, out to please their public.
By the second time through the pluck stage, Cullen has dropped 10 seconds to Fisher. Vincent Bonner has hired back his old Manta 400 for the event. But his confidence has yet to come with the deal. The Dunlow driver is not happy in the rain. Another Donegal man with a new car, James McDade, in the ex-Austin McHale BMW M3. Richard Smith has had early brake problems. Stephen Emerson will soon retire after a severe yump. And Connie Smith, the Cavan man, as ever, sideways.
Saturday, traditionally the big day in Donegal. Bertie's 10-second overnight advantage has been reduced to 4 by the end of our Drummond. No wonder James Cullen in the Four Lanterns and Tony Kelly Carr's sponsored car is on maximum attack. And here's another sensation. Frank Marr in third place on his first Donegal outing. McRae's back in fifth with nearly 2 minutes to make up on the leader. Seamus Gallagher seems to have difficulty turning corners this weekend. For co-driver Damien Crawford, it's a double embarrassment as brother Malachi, Danger Scoop, is home from the States to record it.
Thanet has been Fisher's bogey in the past, but this time the mistake comes from Rory Kennedy. A miscalled pace note puts them off the road and out of the rally.
Turn hairpin left.
In car and Thanet with James Cullen, and Ellen Morgan is reading the notes.
Flat right, 20. Flat right into caution, long class K left tightens. And long flat right, 20. Easy right into fast left.
Round the corner
Flat
is something
right,
that isn't in the
40.
notes.
Flat right, 40. Flat right over crest, 30. Caution, flat right into over.
It's Bertie Fisher
right.
standing by the roadside. No wonder Ellen's a bit surprised.
30.
They're now in the lead of the rally.
Long flat left into bad left. And long late K right.
Robbie Head is now 7th. He's second in Group N. Richard Smith is the first to go haymaking. But there's news of another top runner's retirement, Bill Connolly. With just 30 seconds between cars, it's speed of light to rebuild the chicane before the next car. Danger Scoop, as always, is there to record the action. Andrew Nesbitt has had a puncture, resulting in some indecent exposure of his put-up white tyres.
And so it's fast forward to Ramelton and the undoubted highlight of the weekend. It's another late entry, this one from Rover.
John Price is having one of his best runs ever in his many years of competing in Donegal. The Welshman, with Anne-Marie Riley on the notes, is a magnificent second, and the dispute for that position is going to be the story of the day. Kenny McKinstry, Vincent Bonner, and the one they all have to worry about, Jimmy McRae, are all now locked in a mighty shootout for second that will keep the crowd on their toes throughout the Sunday stages.
Another classic stage is back in this year's format. Some say the best of them all, Atlantic Drive. This is the homeland of Hugh McClatchy, who lives in this beautiful and isolated part of Donegal in his cottage on the left, complete with front wall, television aerial and garage. Fortunately, Hugh is a rally fan, because as we see from inside Kenny McKinstry's car, a considerable amount of his property is directly in the firing line for the rally competitors. Ian Calvin is the first to score a near miss on the McClatchy outhouse. Stephen Price only misses it by throwing the Nova sideways. Yes, indeed, it's worrying times for the McClatchys. Trevor Cathers comes within inches of contact. That's not the first adventure he's had this weekend, but it's the closest yet. Oh dear, John McGaffin is attracted to the McClatchy's front wall. Neither grandpa or grandson are highly amused, but here's Paul Harris looking extremely aggressive. Hugh can only appeal to a higher authority for salvation as he surveys the damage. On reflection, Paul Harris's property has probably come off worse than Hugh McClatchy's. But the attacks continue. Liam Boyle decides to avoid at the last minute. And Brendan Kelly prefers the wall, the weekend wall. And down goes the TV aerial. By now, any reasonable man would be annoyed, but not Hugh McClatchy, not even when Kevin Wright performs a full frontal. And now to the top 10. Pat Kirk and Paul Kiley, 10th overall and Class 6 winners.
George Robinson and Ian Besant bring their exciting Ford-engine Toyota home in 9th.
Bob Fowden and Jerry Hines, 8th overall and 3rd in Group N.
James McDade and Philip McRae, one of 3 Donegal crews in the top 10.
Richard Smith and Michael Reid, after a shaky start, come home 6th.
Robbie Head and Campbell Roy using their Shell scholarship drive to take 5th and 2nd in Group N.
The fabulous McKinstry-Philpott duo, who win Group N and take 4th place overall.
Vincent Bonner and Seamus Boyle proving the old spark is still there in 3rd place.
And the professional Jimmy McRae, guided by trainee Chris Patterson, a fabulous 2nd place.
For James Cullen and Ellen Morgan, this is utopia to win your first international and win it at home.
Donegal is James Cullen and Ellen Morgan's today.
These gentlemen and ladies of the press waiting any longer.
Well, James, pinch yourself. You're the winner of the Donegal International Rally.
Yeah, it's still a bit hard to believe, but I think it's just difficult at times there to keep back the tears coming up the road. All the emotion coming out, all the tension this last few days. We've tried so hard this time, we came so close so often, and it's just great to get there in the end of it.
I think James has said it all, really. There's so many people who've helped to get us here today. And I think this win is as much for them as it is for us. James has tried so hard over the years, and there's been a lot of if-onlys. We've nearly won it 2 or 3 times. To actually do it at last is absolutely super.
And there's the result they waited for, with Cosworth's 1 and 2, and the Manta proving it's still a force to be reckoned with in Donegal.